What's up, everybody? Here with another video today, and today we're going to be looking at step 7. And step 7 reads like this: that I recognize that there are both good and bad influences on my choices and my behavior. And the quote that goes with this one that I provided in there is I'll tell you who you are if you tell me who your friends are. And so I'm going to read it to you, how it goes in the actual material, and then we'll talk about it. So, you become the average of the 5 closest people you surround yourself with. If you were to surround yourself with people who use drugs, then it's no wonder that you had a relapse. This is not evidence of any kind of disease or anything like that. It's really evidence of human nature. If you were to surround yourself with 5 successful individuals, then it's most likely that you'll be the next success. If you simply listen to their advice or mimic their behavior. Um, what we need to understand from the perspective of not addicted, from the perspective of gaining a sense of personal power, it's that support is a luxury, not necessarily a necessity. Um, the basic rule is that if you want this process to be easier for you, then seek supports and find mentors. But if you want it to be as difficult as it can be, then don't find anybody. Uh, this is where I would agree with kind of the basic principles of organizations like NA and AA, where it's a community of people who are dealing with similar issues, and it's nice to be around that kind of thing. But beyond that, something that I want to address is we shouldn't be just looking for people who have gone through similar problems. It's like when I run my groups and I make mention that I used to do heroin, suddenly my credibility level goes way up here in in the eyes of those who I'm speaking to. And I think this is a slight problem. I think we should be looking for people who have never had these issues in the first place. When you think about it, who better is there to learn from about a new way of living, if you will, than somebody who has never dealt with these problems in the first place? They're individuals who, their thinking doesn't really involve anything of the addiction world. The people they surround themselves with as well probably aren't engaging in the typical things that, let's say, an addict would engage in. They haven't been institutionalized, they haven't gone to treatment and stuff like that. So the way they talk, the way they act is hopefully the ideal of where we would like to get. If these people aren't thinking about this stuff at all, I would like to think that's where an addict who is uh, trying to get over the problem, that's where they would like to get, I would think. Um, but yeah, they've never been to those places, and so their mindsets aren't mindsets of being institutionalized or anything like that. Uh, in my opinion, they are a wealth of knowledge. They are a wealth of behaviors that, for some of us, if we simply mimicked what they do, could result in a complete change of our lives. And so, my own personal example of this is when I got clean initially, and I wanted to surround myself with good people, and one of the persons that I thought of was an old 8th grade teacher of mine. When I was using, I would run into him every now and then, and he would, encourage me to hang out with him or whatever it may be. And, I would obviously refuse because I knew that he would be disapproving of what I was doing, and I didn't want that. I didn't want anyone to be around to, as they say, ruin my high. Um, but when it came time to thinking about, okay, who do I want in my life now? Well, I went to those people who, when I was using, the people who were disapproving of it, and not in a sense of just telling you that what you're doing is bad, but in the sense that they're telling you this because they want what's best for you, and they know you're doing something you shouldn't. And so he was one of the first people that I reached out to, and because he kind of had the life that I wanted in a way, good family, uh, from what I could perceive, pretty well established, and so I wanted to be around him. I wanted to be around that, and I wanted to be around the people that he hung out with because I assumed that they're not engaging in the like what my friends at the time, my friends, what they were engaging in. Had to cut a lot of them out. So I started hanging around him, and I didn't, I wasn't looking for advice per se. The way that I approached it was, if I just watch this guy, um, if I just see what he does and how he does it, see how he interacts with his family, how he handles his problems, how he um, deals with certain situations, how he dresses, how he presents himself every day. And this was a guy who, again, in my mind and from my perspective, at least looked like, he got himself ready every day, no matter what he was doing. Um, always looked good. And so, I took some pointers from that, and definitely, maintain even to this day that connection there, and still we'll get together with them every now and then. But initially, the way that I put it is, when we're in the beginning stages of this, we should be looking for mentors, not friends. Looking for mentors, not friends. And that's because if we're starting this out and we're trying to find new friends, then most likely we're still in a mode of thinking that we're going to find the same exact people that we've always found. When it comes to friends, you'll end up with the same crowd that you are trying to leave, especially if your friend circle or what you're looking for isn't informed very well. Um, there eventually came a time where I wanted to find friends, not just mentors anymore, but I wanted to find friends. And I made the mistake, I had some people say, it's like the friend zone, but I just call it it's like the friend box. I had this in my mind, I had this box, if you will, that um, anyone who was going to be my friend, they had to fit into this particular box. And, that box included, like, well, if they don't listen to metal, then, then I'm not hanging out with them. Because I imagine if they're a friend, then we're probably going to take road trips and all that. And, I can't have someone in a car for a long time who doesn't listen to metal. Um, and then, they had to look a certain way, had to dress a certain way. I was changing the way that I was dressing to a more kind of respectable, professional type look. And I wanted to surround myself with people who were the same. Um, they had to talk a certain way. They had to have gone through, some difficulties in life, because I didn't want, forgive the expression, but I didn't want to, I don't want to say weak people as friends per se, not that I think if you haven't gone through some things, you're weak necessarily, but I wanted certain people that thought certain ways. And So in my first effort to try and find these friends, I remember the church that I was going to at the time. They were having a young adults night, um, and college age kids like 20 to 30 something. And so I figured, okay, I'm gonna go to that, and I'm gonna try to find me some friends. The church that I went to was probably the biggest church in the area, and so a lot of we had 1,000, couple thousand people every Sunday, and so I go to this group, and I remember walking in there thinking, okay, it's it had been a few years, and I wanted to I wanted to talk about the big things of life, have real conversation, have real deep conversation about again, just the major issues, not just superficial, doesn't really matter type stuff. Well, I get there, and for the first 15 minutes, we're there talking about the newest iPhone that came out. Um, for me, I don't care. Uh, when well, we kept going and continuing on with the conversation, and eventually it turned into, hey, did you see the latest pair of Nike shoes? And it's again, I don't care. Um, and then, like they're talking about entertainment and celebrities and stuff like that. And we practically spend the whole entire time talking about stuff like that. And then maybe you had 15 minutes and a prayer at the end of any kind of serious type conversation. And so I walked away from that very discouraged, very upset. Uh, I thought to myself, okay, these are the best, or these are the people who I have the best shot with at becoming friends with, and they're nothing like me. Or I was thinking along the lines of, well, what a bunch of coddled individuals that you get into a setting like that, and all you want to talk about is superficial, pointless stuff. And so I walked away from that very disappointed, and it took me another a year or two before I decided to put in an effort again, but this time with a different kind of thinking. I realized my mistake, and my mistake was I went in there with the idea that these people who I've never met before, who I don't know, need to fit into my little box that I've got. Um, and I realized that, well, nobody nobody can probably do that. And so instead of going in there saying, okay, whoever fits into this box, I went in there with a different idea. I said, all right, I'm gonna try to understand these people. I'm gonna try to understand where they're coming from. I'm gonna try to um, understand why the most important things to talk about in that kind of thing are stuff like that. Um, and then I'm gonna, you know, get them to understand me. And so I walked in there this time around or the next time around with just get them to understand, and then you understand them. Um, and that paid off greatly. A lot of the friends that I have now are people who I never thought would be friends in a million years, mainly because they are vastly different than who I am in quite a few ways. And walking in there with the idea that I'm going to get them to understand me, and then I'm going to learn to understand them. That's kind of what opened up this whole thing. This new friend making. I had to get rid of the box that I had that said, you need to be like this, you need to be like that, you need to like this, you need to like that. Um, and then just approached it with, trying to gain a sense of understanding. So maybe for some of you, if you're having trouble with the making friends component of this, then that might be what you have to do. Quit walking in there with these expectations and walk in there simply with the goal to understand. Um, so that's my own personal experience with this whole thing, trying to, again, meet people. So mentors, not friends. And then after a while of doing that, that's when we should start looking for the friends. Once you get it down clearly, who you should be looking for, once you kind of get yourself together, then you can start bringing people in. The next area of influence that I do want to look at too is social media, for example. I'm going to turn the changing in the colors was annoying me, but I'm going to make this in black and white, so you're not going to be able to tell. But either way, yeah, social media. So when it comes to social media, as of 2023, the statistic has been that the average person spends about 2 hours and 25 minutes cumulatively throughout the day, scrolling, if you will, through social media. Now, that can be 2 hours and 25 minutes of filling your mind with either good influences or bad influences. Uh, as I say in my groups, if I were to go through your guys' social media feeds right now, just based off of the things you follow and the friends you have, I mean, shoot, I'd probably be relapsing pretty soon. Or I'd at least be thinking that, doing heroin or doing drugs or whatever it could be a good thing, could be a good idea. But what questions to ask with this one? What kind of pages do you follow? What are you subscribing to? Equally, the friends that you got, what are they posting regularly? Um, are they encouraging you to do better? Or do they try to, let's say, sell in their posts? Because there's people who do that. Um, are they, posting images of their change that they're making? Or are they posting and flaunting their supply and just throwing their cash around, partying, Facebook live streaming, them committing crimes, whatever it may be. These are all things that influence you as well. Imagine the simple difference that it could make if you were to learn to fill that time with messages more in line with what you're trying to do. If the goal is to change, messages in line with changing, either motivational things, whatever it may be. Social media is such a huge influence here, and there's a thing out there called the chameleon effect. And the chameleon effect simply is, what you tend to watch the most and what you tend to observe the most, you start mimicking. And so that includes social media. Um, for instance, what kind of TV shows do you watch? Those can be influences too. What kind of music do you listen to even? Um, if you love hearing music that says party, 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 let's all get wasted, then don't be surprised when you see that your life at this point has been pretty wasted. Um, Again, this isn't evidence of disease or anything like that. There's so many factors that play into this other than just saying I've got this disease or saying I'm suffering with this disorder. There's so many other factors that go into it. And this being one of the biggest ones, I think, is just what kind of influences are you surrounding yourself with? Again, are they people who encourage you to do better? Are they people who, I don't know, forgive the language, but are they people who, call you a bitch if you say you're done doing stuff? I've told people that is, I dare you to post on your social media that, like, hey, I'm done doing this stuff, and everyone else should be done too, you know. Change yourself, you know. What would the comments be like on that from the people that you know that are your friends on there? What kind of comments would you receive, you know? That's something to think about. If you think you'll get rather negative comments to that, then yeah, it might be telling you something. You might need to change that. Um, I know quite a few people who just start new social media platforms once they start off on this process. So, yeah, just quite a few areas to look at with this one. And honestly, changing these areas of influence could mean a significant change for you. Again, imagine if daily, instead of inundating your mind and your ears and your eyes or whatever daily with messages of party and let's all get high and this and that. You know, imagine if you change that to daily messages of success, for instance. Uh, you know, examples of good things to follow. Check out like on social media. They're big on social media. You might have seen them before, but they're called the School of Hard Knocks. It's just a guy who goes around and he interviews wealthy people and just basically asks them simple questions on how they got there, what were some of their best lessons. Um, a guy that I personally follow quite often, Jim Rohn, he's dead now, but you know, daily I watch his lectures, his seminars that he used to do on YouTube. Um, Jordan Peterson, he's good. You know, I know he's a little political. Try to stay away from the political stuff personally, but ultimately, you know, just smart guy, good guy to listen to. I guarantee if you listen to him daily, your vocabulary is going to be expanded by a couple thousand words probably. Um, but those, again, just a few minor areas to pay attention to, and understanding that influences around you have a much bigger impact on your decision making than, in my opinion, than anything else. And so, if we focus too much on the disease and the disorder aspects and mental health and everything else, I think we're going to miss a lot of key areas such as this. What are the influences you have around you? Uh, what are the things that are making using seem like a good decision? Uh, is it friends? Is it family members? Is it social media and what you watch? But yeah, just simple area to pay attention to. I'm making this one short. Once again, I'm pretty dang tired. It's the weekend, and so out on a boat yesterday because that's what sober people do, you know. But anyway, love y'all. Keep it up if you're going through it. Um, there's one surefire way that we can punch the ticket to never getting to the point that we would want to, and that's giving up. So don't do that. Um, when they say just keep going, just keep pushing, just keep going through, uh, it's very true. At least you're still making some kind of progress. Even if all you're doing is just staying clean, it's still some kind of progress. And though it may be small, but any small progress, as the saying goes, is better than any small failure or any small setback. So for some of us, we just need to hang in there, keep it going, um, find purpose in the struggles, struggle for something good. In my opinion, getting clean, being sober, and changing this stuff is a struggle that is well worth it because the payoffs for it can be absolutely amazing. You know, much better than any jails, institutions. Depending on your personal beliefs, can't really argue the death part, but whatever. But anyway, be back with another video within the next week or so. So stay tuned and keep it up, people. Good luck to all the addicts out there. All right. We need it. Need all the help we can get. So find the mentors for yourself.